Tammy was not only my sister, she was my other half, my best friend, and the person who understood me without words.
What's going on? Just in the basement.
I'm not the mastermind.
Surveillance cameras captured the 6 people who would murder 22-year-old Tammy Pointer on her birthday. Not the act itself, but their faces at a burning car hours after. They forced a gun into her mouth and photographed her, told her she'd be okay, then shot her in a basement. Their plan literally went up in flames, but Tammy was already dead. None of them had ever met her. They were hunting someone else entirely. But this story begins 24 hours earlier when a security camera on Kinsman Avenue captured Tammy walking home from work. Welcome back to Notorious Crimes. Before we continue, take a moment to drop a quick comment for me. Is it morning? Afternoon? Or late night where you are right now? Your presence here truly matters. Just a quick note. Certain details have been adjusted for storytelling and reflection. The heart of the story, the message, is what stays with you. A security camera captured it at 9:47 p.m. on November 4th, 2021. Alicia Pointer. Tammy, to everyone who knew her, walked past a convenience store on Kinsman Avenue, phone in hand, unaware the moment was being recorded. 21 years old. By tomorrow night, 3 people would be tracking that phone in real time. None of them police. None of them had ever met her. 6 hours earlier. She'd clocked out of her shift at the group home where she worked. The smell of institutional cleaning solution mixed with microwave popcorn lingered in the break room. She told a coworker goodbye at the door. 22 tomorrow, she said, smiling. Finally feels real. She'd spent the day caring for others, the work she'd done since she was old enough to hold a job. Not just work, a calling. Tammy wanted to own a daycare someday. Not just run one, own it. Create a place where Cleveland's kids could be safe, seen, cared for. That was who she was. Someone who cared. Walking home, she texted her twin sister, Aaliyah. Cold November air bit through her thin work jacket. Streetlights pooled orange on wet pavement. The east side streets were quiet that Thursday night. She and Aaliyah had been making plans all week. Birthday plans. Twin plans. The kind only 2 people who shared a womb could understand. They'd turn 22 together at midnight. Less than 3 hours now. Tammy passed a building she knew by heart. The daycare on East 152nd. Closed for the night. Dark windows. But she paused anyway, looked at it the way someone looks at a future they can taste. She'd told Aaliyah once not just to work in childcare, but to build something. A place that mattered. She kept walking. 36 hours from now. Cleveland detectives would be asking why a caregiver with no enemies was hunted like a fugitive. Home was the apartment she shared with Colin, her boyfriend. She unlocked the door, stepped into the blue glow of his gaming monitor. Gunfire sounds bled from his headset. He glanced up, nodded, turned back to the screen. She set her keys down. He didn't ask about her day. Keep that detail in mind. Tammy checked her phone one more time before bed. Birthday messages were already arriving. Friends, co-workers, family. She scrolled, smiled, typed back hearts and thank yous. The phone was her lifeline. Calls, texts, social media, connection to everyone who mattered. By this time tomorrow, that same phone would be in someone else's hands. The security camera on Kinsman Avenue recorded the timestamp November 4th, 2021, 9:47 p.m. Tammy Pointer walking past, phone in hand. 21 years old for 2 more hours. By 9:47 p.m. on November 5th, exactly 24 hours later, 3 people would be tracking that phone in real time. None of them police. None of them had met her. She would have 19 minutes left to live. Turquoise pulled up to the apartment complex on East 152nd Street at 11:34 p.m. She'd given Tammy rides before after late shifts. Between errands. The kind of thing friends do without thinking twice. Tonight was no different. Except it was the last time. Tammy opened the passenger door, phone already buzzing in her hand. Early birthday messages. She smiled at the screen. "Happy almost birthday, girl," Turquoise said. 22 in 26 minutes, Tammy said. She grabbed her bag, waved goodbye, headed toward the building, keys in hand. The apartment was quiet when she unlocked the door. The kitten met her at the entrance, tiny, new, hers for less than a week. It meowed, circled her ankles, hungry. She set her bag down and opened a can of food, talking softly while she filled the bowl. "You hungry, baby?" "Me too. Birthday dinner tomorrow." The kitten purred, ate. She ran her hand over its soft fur, felt it arch into her palm. Colin wasn't home, still out. The blue glow of his gaming setup sat dark in the corner. She didn't text him, just checked her phone again. More messages now. Friends sending hearts and early birthday wishes. She scrolled, typed back thank yous, smiled at the warmth of people who cared. The apartment was small, but hers. A place she'd made home. The kitten finished eating, curled up on the couch. Tammy sat beside it, the glow of her phone lighting her face in the dark. The clock on the microwave ticked toward midnight. At exactly 12 a.m., her phone buzzed hard. November 5th, her birthday. Messages flooded in Aaliyah first, twin to twin, the kind of love that doesn't need explaining. Then co-workers, then friends. Tammy read each one, heart reacting, typing back. She picked up the kitten, held it close, opened her camera. One selfie, her and the kitten, both looking at the lens. She posted it, the last photo she would ever take. In 21 hours, investigators would use that timestamp to trace her final movements. She set the phone down. The kitten settled into her lap, warm and trusting. Outside, Cleveland was quiet. Inside. Tammy was 22 years old for the first time. She had no enemies, no debts, no reason to think anyone was looking for her. The phone on the table was just a phone, a way to stay connected to the people she loved. By tomorrow night, it would be something else entirely. The kitten would be found 21 hours later, unfed, crying, alone in the empty apartment. That would be the first sign. The first piece of evidence that Tammy Pointer never came home on her birthday. Neighbors would hear it crying through the walls. Police would enter the apartment, find the bowl still half full from the night before, the kitten waiting by the door. They would check her phone's last known location. The timeline would start there, 3 days before the kitten would be found crying. Before Tammy's phone would become a hunting tool. Another death set everything in motion. At 3:17 a.m. on November 2nd, 2021, a doctor stepped into the hospital corridor outside the ER and told Hakeem Ali Shomo that his friend Mo was dead. 19 years old. The injuries were too severe. They'd done everything they could. Hakeem stood still. Destiny Henderson stood beside him. Silent. The fluorescent hum of the hospital filled the space where words should have been. Harsh lighting. The smell of antiseptic. The doctor's voice stayed calm, professional. The way doctors learn to deliver news that shatters people. "I'm sorry," the doctor said. "We did everything we could." Hakeem nodded. Didn't speak. "The police will want to talk to you," the doctor continued. Do you know who did this? Hakeem looked up. Yeah, I know. Keep that answer in mind. Hours later, the waiting room. Stale coffee in paper cups. Hakeem pulled out his phone, scrolled, found what he was looking for. He turned the screen toward Destiny. Instagram screenshots, posts from an account that belonged to someone named Colin. Street talk, aggressive posturing, taunts aimed at Mo. Weeks of them. The kind of thing that makes someone look dangerous if you're already looking for danger. Look at this, Hakeem said. This dude been talking shit about Mo for weeks. Destiny read the posts. The glow of the phone lit both their faces in the dim waiting room. Colin's words looked like threats, looked like motive, looked like proof to someone who just lost a friend and needed someone to blame. You gonna show the cops? Destiny asked. Hakeem stared at the screen. The choice was simple. Turn the posts over to police, let them investigate, let the system work. Or don't. Nah, he said. Police ain't gonna do nothing. We handle this ourselves. In 72 hours, that decision would cost someone who never met Mo her life. The Instagram posts weren't evidence of murder. They were evidence of someone typing lies to look tough. But Hakeem didn't question them, didn't verify, didn't wait. He saw the posts and decided Colin had killed his friend. That was enough. Street justice doesn't require proof. It requires a target. Police would open an investigation into Mo's death. They would never close it. 4 years later, they still haven't. Mo's real killer was never identified, never arrested, never charged. The case file sits open in Cleveland, unsolved. But Hakeem didn't wait for detectives to do their work. He had Colin's name. He had Instagram screenshots. He had rage and a network of people willing to act on it. Within days, he would be hunting. Not for Mo's actual killer, for the person he believed killed Mo. Based on nothing more than words on a screen. He never questioned whether the posts told the truth. Never considered that someone might lie online to look dangerous. Never thought about who else might get caught in the hunt. The plan was forming. Find Colin. Make him pay. Do it the way the streets do it. Fast. Final. Outside the law. Hakeem had already chosen. The system was too slow. Justice would be his. The hunt had a target, Colin. But on November 3rd, Tammy Pointer opened her phone and found her name tangled in someone else's grief. The texts came first. Friends sending screenshots, asking if she'd seen what people were saying. Then the posts. Social media spreading the story fast, the way rumors do when someone dies young. And angry people need answers. Mo was dead. Someone killed him. And now Tammy's name was circulating as the person who helped set him up. Colin's girlfriend. Colin's accomplice. The woman who made it possible. One friend texted, "Girl, they saying you helped get Mo killed. You need to see this." Tammy read the posts. Her stomach dropped. They were saying Colin killed Mo. They were saying she knew. Helped. Set him up. None of it was true. She'd never met Mo. Never heard his name until today. Didn't know anything about what happened. She typed fast. A reply. A defense. The truth. Plain and simple. I never even met or messaged this person. I don't know nothing about what happened. Praying for his family. She hit post. Watched it go live. Waited for people to understand. To see she had nothing to do with this. The phone heated in her hand. Notification badges multiplied across the screen. The post was spreading. She thought that was good. thought truth traveled faster than lies, thought people would read her words and realize they had the wrong person. She told the truth. It was the worst thing she could have done. Portria Williams saw the post within minutes. One of Mo's friends, grieving, angry, looking for someone to blame. She read Tammy's denial and saw something different than Tammy intended. Not innocence. Not honesty. Lies. Disrespect. A woman who thought they were too stupid to see through her. "She think we stupid," Portria said to a friend, showing the screen. "She lying right to our faces." The denial looked like proof. The claim she never met Mo looked like exactly what someone guilty would say. Tammy's calm, polite words praying for the family. Claiming ignorance read as arrogance to people who just lost someone they loved. Portria screenshot the post, sent it to Hakim. 3 words. She playing dumb. Does telling the truth sound like a crime? It shouldn't. But to a group convinced Colin killed their friend, Tammy's denial wasn't evidence of innocence. It was confirmation she was part of it. The more she said she didn't know Mo, the more they believed she did. The more she denied, the guiltier she looked. "This bitch gonna pay for what she did to Mo," Portria said. Within hours, Hakim would have Tammy's phone number. By tomorrow night, November 5th, Tammy's birthday, 3 people would be tracking her location in real time. The post meant to clear her name became the evidence they needed. Proof she was lying. Proof she was involved. Proof she had to be found. Tammy never knew. She posted her truth and went back to her life, believing people would see reason. She had no idea the denial had just painted a target on her back. No idea that trying to stay out of it was the thing that pulled her in. By the time Portria's screenshot reached Hakim, the hunt had coordinates. Within hours, he had Tammy's phone number. By midnight, they had more. Aaliyah woke at 12:47 a.m. on November 5th, her twin's birthday. Their birthday. Something was wrong. She sat up in darkness, heart already racing before her mind caught up. Twin intuition isn't mystical. It's pattern recognition. The way 2 people who shared the womb learned to read each other's rhythms. And Tammy's rhythm was off. She grabbed her phone, typed fast. "Happy birthday, twin. You okay?" No answer. The message delivered. "Read receipts on." But no response. She called. Straight to voicemail. Texted again. "Tammy, answer me. Something's wrong." Nothing. 5 minutes later, Colin's phone rang. 12:52 a.m. FaceTime. Tammy's name on the screen. He answered. Her face filled the frame. Tears streaming. Back seat of a moving car. Her mouth opened like she was trying to speak, but no sound came out. Just crying. Someone else was holding the phone, showing him, proving they had her. "Tammy," Colin said, voice rising. "Tammy, what's wrong? Where are you?" She couldn't answer, or wouldn't. The camera didn't move, just held steady on her face, terrified, trapped. "Who is this?" Colin demanded. "What do you want?" The call lasted 43 seconds. Then the screen went black. The FaceTime call lasted 43 seconds. In 19 minutes, Tammy Pointer will be dead. Colin tried calling back. The line wouldn't connect. He tried again. Nothing. He called Aaliyah, hands shaking. "Someone took her," Aaliyah said when he explained what he'd just seen. Her voice broke. "On our birthday, they took my sister." They called Cleveland police at 1 a.m. The dispatcher's voice stayed calm, professional. walking them through the questions. What's the victim's name? When did you last see her? What makes you think she's been taken? My girlfriend, she's been kidnapped, Colin said. I just saw her on FaceTime. She was crying. Someone has her. The dispatcher logged it. Possible kidnapping. Victim, Tammy Pointer. Last seen on FaceTime in a moving vehicle. Time, 12:52 a.m. The dispatcher asked for descriptions of suspects. Vehicle details. Direction of travel. Colin had nothing. Didn't recognize the car interior. Didn't see who was holding the phone. Didn't hear any voices. Just Tammy's face. Just her tears. Just proof someone had taken her and wanted him to know. Why FaceTime her boyfriend? Not for ransom. Not for negotiation. To prove they'd found who they were hunting. To show Colin what they had. The call wasn't about money. It was about revenge. And Colin still didn't understand why. The police began searching. Checking traffic cameras. Pinging her phone. Looking for a vehicle description they didn't have. By the time they started, the car had already stopped moving. The phone was already going dark. Tammy was already running out of time. Aaliyah's intuition had been right. Something was wrong. But knowing didn't change what came next. The car had already stopped by the time police began searching. But 43 minutes before the FaceTime call, before Colin saw Tammy's face on his screen,
and he sees Alicia in the back, crying, in the back of her car crying.
Before Aaliyah woke, knowing something was wrong, Turquoise's phone was in Destiny's hand. November 4th, 11:30 p.m. Near Tammy's apartment on the east side, Hakeem's group stopped Turquoise on the street. She'd just dropped Tammy off. Said goodnight. Turned the corner. Then there were people surrounding her car. Faces she didn't know. Voice demanding she get out. Hakeem leaned in. Where does Colin stay? Turquoise froze. I don't know no Colin. You know Tammy, Destiny said. Phone already out of Turquoise's hand. That's his girl. Start talking. Destiny scrolled through the phone. Photos, messages, looking for an address, a location. Anything that would lead them to Colin. Nathaniel Polk Jr. stood watch. Portria stayed by the car door, blocking any escape. This wasn't random. This was coordinated. They had a target. They just needed to find him. Destiny stopped scrolling, pulled up a photo. Tammy holding a kitten, smiling at the camera. Days old. Recent. Hakeem saw it. His face changed. That her new cat. Destiny nodded. Perfect, he said. Call her. Tell her you bringing cat litter. Birthday gift. The warmest detail from Tammy's life. The kitten she'd fed on her last normal night had just become bait. Destiny held the phone to Turquoise's face, forced her to unlock it, pulled up Tammy's contact, hit call, pressed the phone against Turquoise's ear hard enough to hurt. Say it, Destiny whispered. Exactly like I told you. Or we go up there ourselves. Turquoise's voice shook. She tried to sound normal, tried to sound like a friend bringing a gift. Hey girl, I got you some cat litter for your kitten. Birthday gift. I'm outside. Tammy's voice came through warm, unsuspecting. Aw, you didn't have to. Coming down now. The line went dead. Hakeem smiled. They waited. Car doors open. Engine running. Ready. Tammy walked out 2 minutes later. Pajamas. No coat. No shoes. Just slippers. She was looking for Turquoise's car. Looking for her friend. Looking for the birthday surprise. She saw the wrong car. Wrong faces. Before she could turn back, Hakeem was moving. Hands grabbed her, pulled her into the back seat. Doors slammed. Engine accelerated. She was crying before the car left the parking lot. "Where's Turquoise?" Tammy said, voice breaking. "What's going on?" No one answered. Just looked at her, studied her face. This was Colin's girlfriend. This was the woman who helped set up Mo. That's what they believed. That's why they were here. "I don't understand," Tammy said. "What do you want?" Hakeem leaned forward. "Where's Colin?" "I what, Colin?" "Your boyfriend. Where is he?" She didn't understand. Didn't know why they wanted him. Didn't know about Instagram posts, or Mo, or revenge. She just knew she'd walked out expecting a friend and found strangers. A car full of people she'd never met, all of them looking for someone who wasn't there. The car pulled into an overgrown lot behind what used to be a convenience store. Hakeem took Tammy's phone from her hand. She didn't resist. She was crying. Asking why they'd taken her, saying she didn't know what they wanted. Hakeem scrolled through her contacts until he found Colin's name. "Call him," Hakeem said, holding the phone toward her. "Tell him you need to see him right now. Don't say nothing else." Tammy's hands shook as she pressed the screen. The phone rang 4 times before Colin answered. His voice was flat, irritated. "What?" "Colin, where are you?" Tammy's voice cracked. "I need you to come home." "Michigan," Colin said. "Went to see my people. Be back tomorrow." Hakeem leaned closer, listening. Tammy could feel his breath on her neck. "Colin, please." "Can't talk right now. I'll hit you back." The line went dead. Hakeem stared at the phone, then at Tammy. "Michigan. I swear I don't know where he really is," Tammy said. "We're not even together. He stays at my place sometimes." Destiny. Sitting in the front seat, turned around. "Call him again." Tammy tried. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Voicemail. Her fingers were trembling so hard she could barely hold the phone. "He turned his phone off," Tammy whispered. Hakeem's jaw tightened. "Then you useless to us." Colin had lied. Not to protect Tammy, he didn't know she was in danger. He lied because it made him sound dangerous. Like someone who crossed state lines on impulse. Someone with connections. That lie had pulled Tammy into Mo's orbit 2 years ago. Now another Colin lie sealed her fate. Destiny took the phone from Hakeem and opened the settings. She turned off location services with 2 taps. Then she opened Tammy's messages and scrolled to Aaliyah's name. "Text your sister," Destiny said. "Tell her you're fine. Tell her not to worry." "Please," Tammy said. "Just let me go. I don't know anything. I can't help you." "Text her," Destiny repeated, holding the phone closer. Tammy's thumbs moved across the screen. "I'm fine. Don't worry. Love you." The timestamp read 12:40 a.m. Aaliyah had called the police 40 minutes earlier, but Tammy didn't know that. She didn't know her sister was awake. Terrified, watching her phone for any sign of life. The text would reach Aaliyah's screen in seconds. It would look like reassurance. Police would later call it a coerced message. Evidence of kidnapping. Proof Tammy was alive at 12:40 but not in control. Destiny hit send. Hakeem opened the car door and stepped out. The others followed. Tammy sat alone in the back seat, watching them talk in a loose circle near the building's side door. She couldn't hear what they were saying. She could see their faces in the glow of someone's phone screen. She thought about opening the car door and running. She thought about screaming. She thought about her sister, who would be reading that text right now. Maybe believing it.
Can I at least go home for my birthday?
They pulled Tammy from the car and led her inside through a side door, what used to be a break room. No furniture, broken glass in the corners. At 12:45 a.m., Portria reached behind her back and pulled a black semi-automatic pistol from her waistband. Tammy's breath stopped. The gun hadn't been visible in the car. Now it was here, dark metal catching the glow from someone's phone flashlight. Portria held it low, almost casual. But Tammy couldn't look away. "Please," Tammy whispered. "I didn't do anything. Please." Nobody answered. Portria turned the weapon over in her hand, checking something Tammy couldn't see. The safety clicked. 2 days earlier, November 3rd, the day after Mo died, Portria had met a man named Odell in a parking lot on the east side. He sold guns. No questions. Cash only. Portria arrived with $200 folded in her front pocket. She didn't have a plan. She had rage and the certainty that Mo's death required an answer, even if she didn't know yet what form that answer would take. Odell leaned against a rusted Buick, arms crossed, maybe 40, thin, wearing a jacket too heavy for the weather. When Portria approached, he pulled a black semi-automatic from inside the jacket and held it flat in his palm. "You know how this works," Odell said. "Cash only. Never saw me." Portria's hands shook as she took the gun. The weight startled her, heavier than she'd imagined, cold even through the metal. She counted out the bills. Odell took them without looking at her face. "I just need something," Portria said quietly. "For Mo." Odell pocketed the cash and walked away. The transaction took 90 seconds. Nobody called the police. Nobody wrote down the Buick's plate. The parking lot camera had been broken for 6 months. What if someone had called that in, one anonymous tip, about an illegal gun sale on November 3rd? Portria flagged, connected to Hakeem, to destiny, to the group forming around Mo's memory, police watching when the kidnapping plan took shape on November 4th. Tammy, still alive. Nobody called. The weapon was purchased before any kidnapping plan existed. Rage found its target 2 days later. Back in the abandoned house, Portria passed the gun to Destiny. She held it carefully, checking the safety again, then looked at Tammy. "What we gonna do with her?" Destiny asked. Portria's voice was flat, emptied of the emotion that had driven her to that parking lot 2 days before. "She know too much now. She's seen all our faces." Tammy started crying again, harder now. She tried to speak, but couldn't form words. The gun purchased in grief was aimed at someone who'd never met Mo, never heard his name until tonight. Destiny kept the weapon in her hand. Hakeem stood near the door, watching. Nobody was arguing. Nobody was saying they should let her go. The gun came from someone named Odell, purchased November 3rd with cash in a parking lot on the east side. Police would later try to trace it. Following the serial number back through 3 previous owners, none of whom led to Odell. The group would be arrested, interrogated separately, offered deals to cooperate. Nobody would ever say Odell's last name. Street code held, even when facing murder charges. At 12:52 a.m. on her 22nd birthday. Hakeem took the gun from Destiny and stepped toward Tammy. "Open your mouth," he said. "Don't move." Tammy shook her head, crying. "Please, please don't." Destiny moved behind her, grabbing her head with both hands, holding it still. Hakeem pressed the barrel against Tammy's lips. She tried to turn away, but Destiny's grip was too tight. "Open," Hakeem said again. Tammy opened her mouth. The cold metal slid between her teeth, pressing down on her tongue. She could taste iron. Her eyes were streaming wide with terror, fixed on Hakeem's face. He raised his phone with his other hand and aimed the camera. The screen lit up, showing Tammy's reflection, her own terrified eyes staring back through the phone's viewfinder. gun barrel in her mouth, tears on her cheeks, Destiny's hands holding her still. The camera clicked. That artificial shutter noise, quiet, almost delicate, signaling the moment was captured. The image was recorded. Tammy with a gun in her mouth. Timestamp 12:53 a.m. November 5th, 2021. Her birthday. Hakeem lowered the phone and checked the photo. He nodded. The gun came out of Tammy's mouth. She gasped, choking on her own breath. Bent forward, sobbing. "Please," Tammy said between sobs. "It's my birthday. Let me go home. Please, I just want to go home for my birthday." Not "let me live." Not "I didn't do anything." She was begging to go home for her birthday. 53 minutes into being 22. And she still believed if she asked right, they might say yes. Portria's voice was cold. "Should have thought about that before you helped kill Mo." "I didn't, I swear, I didn't do anything." But Hakeem had stopped listening. He was scrolling through Tammy's phone contacts. He found Aaliyah's name first. Twin sister, same birthday. He attached the photo and hit send. The image went out at 12:55 a.m. Aaliyah's phone lit up with the photo of her twin, the person she'd shared a womb with, a birthday with. 22 years of life with gun in her mouth. Timestamp 2 minutes ago. Hakeem sent it to Colin next. Then he opened Instagram and uploaded it with no caption. Then Facebook. Then a group chat labeled RIP Mo. By 1 a.m., the photo had been shared 47 times. By morning, it would be everywhere. Screenshots passed between phones, reposted, copied, and sent to people who'd never met Tammy. The photo, meant to intimidate Colin, became Exhibit A in 4 separate murder trials. Every person in that room would sit in court and watch prosecutors project that image for the jury. The digital file recorded metadata, exact time, phone model, GPS coordinates embedded before Destiny turned off location services. The photo they sent to prove they had Tammy became the evidence that convicted them of what they did next. It reached the people who loved her first, then everyone else. At 6:15 a.m. on their 22nd birthday, Aaliyah sat in a Cleveland police station interview room, showing the detective the photo of her twin sister with a gun in her mouth. The detective looked at the image, then at Aaliyah. Harsh fluorescent lights overhead. Phones ringing in the background. Radio chatter from dispatch crackling down the hall. "This isn't a fight," Aaliyah said. Her voice was steady, but her hands shook. "Someone took her. Look at this photo." The detective leaned closer, studying the screen. Maybe 50. Gray at the temples, wearing a loosened tie from a night shift that hadn't ended. He'd taken her report seriously from the first mention of the FaceTime call. "When did you last hear from her?" he asked. 12:40 a.m. She texted she was fine. But look at her eyes in this photo. She's not fine. The detective made notes everything Aaliyah remembered. The FaceTime call at 12:52 a.m. 43 seconds of proof. The coerced text 20 minutes later. The torture photo sent from Tammy's phone. Colin's lie about Michigan. "We're treating this as an abduction," the detective said, standing. "I'm putting out an alert now." He left, and Aaliyah heard him talking fast into a phone backup. Phone records. Surveillance footage from near Tammy's apartment. Real police work. Done right. Done fast. By 7 a.m., they'd located Turquoise. She came in voluntarily, terrified, ready to cooperate. The ambush outside Tammy's building. The group that took her. The forced call about cat litter. "They made me call her," Turquoise said, crying. "Said to tell her about cat litter for her kitten. I didn't know they were gonna." "Who are they?" the detective asked. "Give me names." Hakeem, and Destiny, and Portria Mo's mom. Turquoise's voice dropped. They think Tammy and Colin set Mo up to get killed. They wanted Colin. He wasn't there. The detective wrote it down. Names, descriptions, the revenge motive, connection to a murder 2 days earlier. Turquoise didn't know where they'd taken Tammy, but she gave them enough to start. They were doing everything right. It wouldn't matter. By 7:30 a.m., the investigation had momentum. Officers running names, pulling addresses, checking associates, warrants being drafted, surveillance footage being reviewed. But finding suspects in Cleveland takes time, even with names, even with descriptions, even with motive documented. Warrants need judges' signatures. Addresses need verification. Suspects need to be located before arrest. Each step takes hours. Tammy had been gone 7 hours. Police had 3 names, a witness statement, clear direction, everything they needed except the one thing that mattered: time. By 8 a.m., the detective had Hakeem's name, Destiny's name, Portria's name in the system. Turquoise's statement recorded and signed. He knew this was revenge for Mo. Killed November 2nd. He had direction. He didn't have time. 3 days after Tammy Pointer's murder, the detective pulled up city surveillance footage from November 5th, 2021, 1:47 a.m. The investigation had moved fast after Aaliyah's report. Turquoise's statement gave them names: Hakeem, Destiny, Portria, Nathaniel. All 4 had been brought in for questioning within 48 hours. All 4 claimed alibis. Home, mother's house, at work, in bed. Standard denials. Nothing unusual. But Tammy's phone had pinged near East 105th and Kinsman at 1:43 a.m. before going dark. The detective was checking every camera within a mile radius of that location. Routine evidence review. Methodical. Looking for anything. The timestamp in the corner read 1:47 a.m. An empty Cleveland street under sodium vapor lights. Then a car screeched into frame from the left, smoke billowing from under the hood. The detective leaned forward. The car jerked to a stop directly under a streetlight. Flames licked from the engine compartment, orange and bright in the grainy black and white footage. The doors flew open. People poured out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Panicking, shouting, scrambling away from the vehicle. Someone ran back with a water bottle, splashing it on the flames. Someone else grabbed dirt from the roadside, throwing handfuls at the fire. The streetlight illuminated every face. The detective hit pause, rewound 10 seconds, played it again, slower this time. Screenshot. Another screenshot. A third. Hakeem. Clearly visible. Pulling someone away from the car. Destiny. Her face caught in profile as she turned toward the flames. Portria. Standing near the rear door, frozen. Nathaniel. Using his jacket to beat at the smoke. Turquoise, who'd given the statement, who'd claimed she was forced, who'd said she didn't know where they'd taken Tammy, right there with them. And one more person, partially obscured but visible enough. They tried to burn the evidence. The fire made them visible instead. The detective opened a second window on the monitor and pulled up the interrogation transcripts. Hakeem's first claimed he was home alone that night, never left his apartment. Timestamp of interrogation, November 6th, 9 a.m. Destiny's statement at her mother's house until 3 a.m. watching TV. Never went out. Portria's sworn statement working an overnight shift. Clocked in and out. Had witnesses. Nathaniel's alibi in bed by midnight. alone, but home. The detective looked back at the frozen frame on the surveillance footage. 1:47 a.m. 97 minutes after Tammy's last known location. Every face sharp under the streetlight. Caught in the act of fighting flames. Desperate to save whatever evidence was burning in that car. Every single face on that camera had sat across from police officers and lied. Not one person breaking from the group. Not one conflicting story. They'd coordinated, agreed on their lies before any interrogation happened. A conspiracy. Documented in real time. The detective picked up the phone and called across the building. "Pull the arrest warrants. We have them all on camera, and they all lied about where they were." The footage ran for 5 more minutes. 6 people fighting flames, then abandoning the car and scattering on foot when the fire wouldn't die. All of it captured. All of it time-stamped. All of it contradicting every word they'd said under oath. Every face on screen had lied in interrogation. Brittany Smith sat across from the detective, mid-sentence, explaining why she couldn't have been involved in Tammy Pointer's murder. "I was there, yeah," Brittany said, leaning back in her chair. Her voice was steady, confident. "But I stayed outside the whole time, in the backyard, for like 4 hours." The detective looked up from his notepad, red recording light glowing in the corner of the room. 4 hours in a backyard, in November. Why? I don't know. I just didn't want to go inside. Brittany shrugged. "I didn't go inside. Didn't see nothing." She was one of the 6 people from the surveillance footage caught on camera at 1:47 a.m. helping extinguish the burning car. But she didn't know the detective had that footage yet. She thought this interrogation was exploratory, fishing for information. The detective wrote slowly, his pen scratching across the paper. Brittany watched him, still composed. She believed her story was working. 4 hours outside. Never inside where it happened. That was the line between witness and participant. That was reasonable doubt. "I didn't go inside," she repeated. "That's the important part." Then Brittany leaned forward, eager now. She pulled her phone from her pocket and slid it across the cold metal table. "You can check my phone," she said. "The GPS. It'll show I was outside the whole time." The detective picked up the phone, looked at it, then at Brittany. "That's proof, right?" Brittany said. "I wasn't inside. I wasn't part of it." "Before I reveal what that phone data actually proved, are you still here? Comment A if you think Brittany's playing this smart, or B if you think she's walking into a trap. Add your reason in exactly 5 words. Please note what follows contains recreated details for storytelling purposes. But the evidence is real. The detective opened a file on the table and began writing. Brittany Smith admits being at the murder scene for 4 hours on November 5, 2021. Phone GPS confirms location. Voluntarily surrendered device. "So to be clear," the detective said, reading from his notes, "you're saying you were at this address for 4 hours on November 5th. "Yeah," Brittany said, "but just outside."
My phone is going to ping exactly where I'm at.
The detective slid a folder across the table. Inside, screenshots from surveillance footage. Timestamp 1:47 a.m. Brittany's face clearly visible under a streetlight, standing beside a burning car with 5 other people. Portria, Destiny, Hakeem, Nathaniel, Turquoise. All of them trying to extinguish the flames. Brittany's confidence drained. Her eyes moved from the photos to the detective's face. "We already had you at the scene, Brittany," the detective said quietly. "I just needed you to say it on tape." The phone she'd volunteered the GPS she thought would prove she stayed in the backyard confirmed she'd been at the abandoned house for 4 hours during the exact window Tammy Pointer was tortured and killed. Inside or outside didn't matter. She was there. She stayed. She helped burn the evidence afterward. The detective wrote it down. He'd already had the footage. Destiny Henderson signed her name at the bottom of a 6-page statement. Her hand shaking so hard, the signature was barely legible. She'd just told the detective everything about Hakeem's plan. Brittany's confession had cracked the group open. Now Destiny was next, trying to save herself by giving up everyone else. Hakeem said we had to do it for Mo, Destiny said, voice breaking. I was just there. I didn't touch her. The detective looked up. Who else was in the house? All of them. Portria had the gun. Anthony was the one who... Destiny stopped, then continued quieter. Brittany stayed outside mostly. Nathaniel was in the car. Turquoise called her to come out. She named every person. Laid out the timeline. Described the abandoned house. The interrogation. The photo sent from Tammy's phone. She thought minimizing her role would save her. She was building the prosecutor's case. 2 rooms over. Portria gave her own statement. Different detective. Same story with different blame. I bought it for protection after Mo died, Portria said about the gun from Odell. Anthony took it from me at the house. The detective wrote it down. Portria kept talking. Destiny and Hakeem were the ones in charge. I just drove. Her voice was defensive, insistent. She admitted buying the murder weapon, but claimed she never fired it. She named the same people. Same house. Same night. Different excuses. Identical facts. Down the hall. Turquoise gave her statement through tears. The forced call about cat litter. The ambush. Being terrified. They made me call her, Turquoise said. I had no choice. Nathaniel sat in another room, admitting he was in the car when it caught fire. I was in the car, but I never went inside the house, Nathaniel insisted. I didn't see nothing, but he confirmed the same location, the same timeline, the same group. They were all trying to save themselves. They convicted each other instead. The detective laid out 5 statements side by side. Brittany's GPS confession. Destiny's detailed timeline. Portria's admission about the gun. Turquoise's forced call. Nathaniel's presence at the burning car. Every statement tried to minimize the speaker's role by emphasizing someone else's. But they all agreed on essential facts. 7 people at an abandoned house on November 5th, 2021. Tammy Pointer taken there against her will. Tortured. Photographed with a gun in her mouth. Killed. The statements corroborated each other perfectly, each suspect trying to shift blame. Had locked in the details that would convict them all. None confessed from remorse. They confessed from fear. Fear of taking the fall alone. The cross-testimony was airtight. Names matched. Timeline aligned. Location confirmed. Method documented. Motive established. 5 people talked. Brittany Smith. Destiny Henderson. Portria Lindsay. Turquoise Dixon. Nathaniel Pfizer. 5 statements. 5 signatures. 5 people placing themselves at the murder scene, each trying to be the one who cooperated most, who deserved mercy. Everyone talked. Except 2. Hakeem Ali Shomo and Anthony Bryant gave no statements, admitted nothing, stayed silent. Collins sat across from the detective, explaining for the 3rd time that he had nothing to do with Mo's death on November.
You got 5 people, there were 5 people putting you there.
5 confessions had named him. Destiny said Hakeem wanted revenge for Mo, thought Collins set him up. Portria blamed him for her son's death. The Instagram posts had convinced them all, but none of them had verified the basic question: was Colin actually involved? The detective pulled up phone records on the monitor. Location data. Cell tower pings. Work schedule from Colin's employer. "Where were you on November 2nd when Mo was killed?" the detective asked. "Work," Colin said. "I was at work. I never even met Mo." The records confirmed it. November 2nd, 2021. Between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m., Colin's phone pinged cell towers 40 minutes from the scene of Mo's shooting. His work schedule showed him clocked in all day. Security footage from his workplace would later confirm he never left the building. The detective looked at the screen, then at Colin. "Then why did you post about him on Instagram?" Colin's face changed. The defensive posture cracked. "I made it up," Colin said quietly. "The posts. I was just talking shit online, trying to look hard." The detective waited. "I didn't know him. Never met him. Never had beef with nobody named Mo." Colin's voice was shaking now. "I was just, posting stuff, acting tough. I didn't know nobody was gonna. I didn't think." "You lied to look dangerous," the detective said. "Someone believed you. Instagram posts claiming he had enemies, that someone tried him and failed, that he handled his business in the streets. All lies. Street posturing from someone who worked a regular job and went home to his girlfriend's apartment every night." But Hakeem had seen those posts and believed Colin was the one who'd gotten Mo killed. Colin lied to look dangerous. The lie killed his girlfriend. Now police proved it was a lie. The detective closed the file folder. Phone records cleared Colin completely. Work schedule verified his alibi. No connection to Mo's death. No involvement in any street dispute. Colin was innocent of Mo's murder, of involvement in gang activity, of everything, except lying on social media to look tougher than he was. "You're clear," the detective said. "Had nothing to do with Mo, but your girlfriend is dead because someone thought you did." Colin sat there, staring at his hands. Free. Cleared. And it didn't matter. He stood, chair scraping against the floor, and walked toward the door. The detective didn't stop him. No charges, no arrest, no reason to hold him. Colin walked out of Cleveland Police Headquarters into daylight on November 10th, 2021. A free man, cleared of all suspicion. The investigation had proven what Tammy had tried to tell them from the beginning. Colin had nothing to do with Mo's death. Tammy Pointer's body had been found 3 days earlier, November 7th. Buried in a shallow grave, identified by dental records. Dead since November 5th, her 22nd birthday. She died because someone believed Colin's Instagram lies. He never spent a day in jail. He was cleared. He walked out. Tammy was already dead. While Colin walked free, 6 others sat in interrogation rooms. This was Brittany Smith's turn. She leaned forward, voice loud and defiant. "If you got evidence, show me, right now. Show me." The detective had just said he had proof placing her at the murder scene. Brittany's confidence filled the room. She thought he was bluffing. "Show me," she repeated, slapping her palm on the metal table. "You say you got evidence? Show it." The detective looked at her calmly. "I'm asking where you were on November 5th. I told you, I was home. Wasn't at no murder scene." Brittany crossed her arms, leaning back now. Defensive posture. Voice still loud enough to project certainty. There was a folder on the table between them. Face down. Plain manila. Nothing written on the outside. The detective's hand rested on it. Fingers drumming once, then still. Inside that folder, surveillance screenshots. Brittany's face captured under a streetlight at 1:47 a.m. on November 5th, standing beside a burning car with 5 other people. Time-stamped. Geotagged. Clear enough to identify every person in the frame. He didn't flip it open. "Tell me again where you were," the detective said. Brittany's eyes went to the folder, then back to his face. "I was home. All night. I wasn't there." The detective wrote it down, pen scratching across the notepad, red recording light steady in the corner of the room. Second denial on tape. "You sure about that?" he asked. "How many times I gotta say it?" Brittany's voice was rising now, frustration bleeding through the confidence. "I wasn't there." She thought demanding proof made her strong. He was letting her build the prosecution's case. The detective asked again. "November 5th, after midnight. Where were you?" "Home." Brittany's chair scraped as she leaned forward. "I told you. Home." He wrote it down. Third denial. "One more time for the record," the detective said, pen ready. "I wasn't at no abandoned house. I wasn't at no car fire. I was home." Each word punched out separately, emphasis meant to sound final. Fourth denial documented. The detective looked at his notes, then back at Brittany. "So just to be absolutely clear, you're stating you were not present at any location where Tammy Pointer was held on the night of November 5th. "That's what I've been saying," Brittany threw her hands up. "I don't know nothing about that. I wasn't there." Fifth denial. The detective's hand still rested on the folder. Inside, proof she was lying. Proof she'd been there. Proof that every word she'd just said on camera was false. But he let her say it 4 more times. Each denial another documented lie. Each insistent repetition another count of false statements to police. Each confident declaration becoming evidence not just of presence at the scene, but of obstruction, of consciousness of guilt, of knowing exactly what she was denying. Brittany thought she was protecting herself. Every word was convicting.
That I was not there when she got kidnapped?
So when they sink,
He let her say it 4 more times. The detective flipped the folder open and slid surveillance screenshots across the table. Brittany's face, clear as day. November 5th, 2021. 1:47 a.m. She stared at the photos. Her own face under a streetlight. Standing beside a burning car with 5 other people. Timestamp in the corner. Her mouth opened, but nothing came out. The tone in the room shifted. She knew she was caught. "That's you at 1:47 a.m. on November 5th, the detective said. "The night Tammy Pointer was murdered." Brittany's eyes stayed on the photos. Her hand moved toward them, then stopped. That could be anyone," she said, voice quieter now, confidence draining. "It's you," the detective said. "And 5 people already said so." Brittany looked up. "Destiny named you. Portria named you. Turquoise named you. Nathaniel named you." The detective counted them off. "All of them placed you at that house." Brittany's face went slack. The group had dissolved when the handcuffs went on. Loyalty disappeared facing life in prison. 5 separate statements, the detective continued. "All of them put you in that house when Tammy Pointer died." Brittany said nothing. "Everyone else is talking," the detective said. "You're the only one still lying." Silence filled the room. Red recording light steady. The folder open between them. 5 denials already on tape. 5 witness statements in the file. This was the moment she could have saved herself. She chose the lie instead. The detective leaned back, giving her space. One more chance. The difference between a cooperation deal and full murder conviction. "I'm asking you one more time, for the record," he said. "Were you at that house?" Brittany looked at the camera in the corner. Red light glowing. Everything recorded. Her face in the surveillance photos. 5 people who'd already given her up. the detective's pen ready. She chose. No. Brittany's voice was flat. No confidence left, but still holding to the lie. I wasn't there. That's not me. The detective wrote it down. Pen scratching across the notepad. 6th denial. Final documented lie. For the record, the detective said. Brittany Smith denies being present. 6th time. He closed the folder. The photos disappeared back inside. But they existed. Digital files backed up on 3 servers, 5 witness statements corroborating them. Phone, GPS data confirming location, and 6 denials on camera proof not just of presence, but of obstruction. False statements. Consciousness of guilt. Brittany thought she was protecting herself. She'd sealed her conviction. The trial would take months. The jury would see the surveillance footage, hear the 5 testimonies, watch the recording of Brittany denying, even after being shown her own face under a streetlight at the murder scene. The verdict: guilty. The sentence: life in prison. Eligible for parole after 41 years. Brittany Smith said it 6 times on camera. I wasn't there. She said it for the recording, for the transcript, for the jury that would convict her. She'll be 41 years older when she's first eligible to walk free. In a different interrogation room. Destiny Henderson could barely speak when the detective asked what happened in the basement. Brittany had lied 6 times. Destiny couldn't hold it anymore. What happened in that basement? The detective asked. Destiny's voice shook. She was there, was plastic on her face. She couldn't breathe right. The detective waited. Brittany unwrapped it, told her she'd be okay. Destiny's hands were shaking. Anthony had the gun. Hakeem gave the order.
So she unleashes, she says, you're gonna be okay, nothing's about to happen to you.
That nothing was going to happen. That she'd be okay. November 5th, 2021. Evening. The basement of an abandoned house on Cleveland's east side. Tammy sat on the concrete floor. Plastic wrapped loosely around her face. She'd been crying for hours. Begging. Asking why. Saying she didn't know where Colin was. Saying she didn't know Mo. Saying it was her birthday. Please, please let her go home. Brittany stepped forward and unwrapped the plastic. Tammy gasped, pulling air into her lungs. Her eyes went to Brittany's face, searching for mercy, for some sign this was ending. You'll be okay, Brittany said. Her voice was almost gentle. Nothing's going to happen. Please, Tammy whispered. Please let me go home. Brittany stepped back. Tammy's eyes followed her. Still looking for confirmation. For proof the nightmare was over. Anthony Bryant. The shooter raised the gun. They gave her hope so she would relax. Then they killed her. Tammy exhaled. Believed the lie. Relief started to flood her face. The thought that maybe, finally, this was over. That she would see her sister again. That she would survive her 22nd birthday. The gunshot was single. Final. November 5th, 2021. Approximately 7:30 p.m. 21 years and 1 day old. 22 for 19 hours. Back in the interrogation room. Destiny was crying. The detective wrote it down in careful, measured strokes. Closed the file. Opened it again to add the victim's name for the official record. For the record, the detective said. Victim Alicia Pointer, known as Tammy, age 22. Murdered November 5th, 2021. She never met Mo, Destiny said through tears. She didn't do nothing. The detective didn't respond. The recording light stayed on. Destiny's confession documented. Anthony Bryant named as the shooter. Brittany's cruel mercy before the execution. Hakeem's order. Portria's presence. All of them there. All of them responsible. Her name was Alicia Pointer. Friends called her Tammy. She was a daycare worker who dreamed of opening her own childcare center. She fed a stray kitten on her last normal night. She turned 22 at midnight on November 5th, expecting cake with her twin sister the next morning. She spent her last minutes believing someone's lie that she would be okay. 6 people were in that basement when Anthony Bryant pulled the trigger. Hakeem Ali Shomo, Portria Lindsay, Destiny Henderson, Brittany Smith, Nathaniel Pfizer, Turquoise Dixon. Tammy had never met any of them, didn't know their names, didn't know Mo, had nothing to do with his death. Her name was Tammy Pointer. 21 for one more day than she should have been. At his sentencing hearing, Hakeem Ali Shomo was asked if he had anything to say to Tammy Pointer's family. 6 people had been convicted. Anthony Bryant pulled the trigger. But Hakeem organized it, planned it, gave the order. He stood in the same Cleveland courtroom where he'd denied everything during trial, where prosecutors showed surveillance footage of him at the burning car, where 5 co-defendants testified he was in charge, where the jury deliberated less than a day before convicting him of murder. Hakeem spoke. "I want to send my condolences to the family," he said, voice flat, no emotion. Nobody deserved what happened. A pause. Then the admission. She didn't have nothing to do with what happened to Mo.
Nobody deserved what they got. And my condolences for real go to her family. She did not deserve none of that.
The family sat in the gallery. Aaliyah, Tammy's twin, their mother, friends who'd known Tammy since childhood. Hearing the man who ordered her death finally admit what they'd been saying from the beginning. She was innocent. No remorse in his voice. Just words. An acknowledgement that came months too late. Delivered in a courtroom where it could no longer save anyone. The judge who had presided over all 6 trials looked at Hakeem. Then at the other defendants. Then at the sentencing documents. "You hunted down and murdered an innocent woman based on Instagram posts and rumor," the judge said. The sentences came one by one. Hakeem Ali Shomo, life in prison without possibility of parole. Anthony Bryant, life in prison without possibility of parole. Brittany Smith, life in prison. Eligible for parole after 41 years. Portria Williams, life in prison without possibility of parole. Destiny Henderson, decades. Nathaniel Polk Jr., decades. 6 people sentenced for murdering someone they never met. Someone who didn't know their names. Someone whose only connection to them was a lie her boyfriend posted on Instagram. 6 people in prison for Tammy. 0 answers about Mo. What was it all for? Because Mo's murder, the death that launched everything, remains unsolved. Colin was cleared. Phone records. Work schedule. Alibi verified. He had nothing to do with the 19-year-old's death on November 2nd, 2021. Cleveland police investigated. Looked at associates, rivals, disputes. Found nothing conclusive. Mo's case file sits open. No arrests. No charges. No justice for the death that Portria. Hakeem and the others believed justified hunting down an innocent woman. The question that started everything, who killed Mo, has no answer. Tammy died for revenge against a ghost. For a murder Colin didn't commit. For Instagram posts that were fiction. For a crime that remains unsolved. 6 sentences delivered. 4 life terms. 2 measured in decades. 1 unsolved murder. One woman killed on her 22nd birthday for revenge that had no legitimate target. Hakim sent his condolences. The courtroom doors closed behind all 6 defendants. Mo's killer walks free. Unknown. Uncharged. Possibly unaware that their act set a chain of tragedy in motion. And Tammy Pointer is still dead. 6 sentences. 4 life terms. The question that started it all, unanswered. Aaliyah stood in the courtroom to deliver her victim impact statement, facing the 6 people who killed her twin sister on their shared birthday. Hakim Ali Shomo, Anthony Bryant, Brittany Smith, Portria Williams, Destiny Henderson, Nathaniel Polk Jr. All of them convicted. All of them sentenced. All of them responsible for Tammy's death. Aaliyah's voice was steady but quiet. "She was my twin," Aaliyah said. "That means something people don't understand unless they are one." The courtroom went silent. We didn't need words sometimes. I knew when something was wrong. That's why I woke up that night. Her voice cracked. November 5th is our birthday. Now it's the day she died. Twin intuition at 12:47 a.m. The FaceTime call 5 minutes later. 43 seconds of proof her sister was in danger. Aaliyah had called police by 1 a.m. before Tammy was even dead. But it wasn't enough time. She wanted to own a daycare, take care of kids. That's who she was, someone who cared. Aaliyah looked at the 6 defendants. She died because of Instagram posts, because of lies. She never even met Mo, a caregiver who spent her life caring for others. A daycare worker with dreams of opening her own center. Someone who fed a stray kitten on her last normal night. Someone whose warmth drew people in, killed over a rumor about someone she never met. A twin bond, measured in a language only 2 people ever spoke. "We are twins," Aaliyah said. Present tense, not were. That doesn't stop because she's gone. She sat down. The courtroom stayed silent. The 6 defendants looked at the table, at the floor, anywhere but at Aaliyah. Tammy Pointer never met Mo, the person she was killed to avenge. She never heard his name before the night she was kidnapped, had no connection to his death. No involvement in whatever rivalry or dispute led someone to shoot him on November 2nd, 2021. She walked past a security camera on Kinsman Avenue at 9:47 p.m. on November 4th, heading home to her apartment. A daycare worker finishing a long shift, thinking about her birthday at midnight. About the kitten waiting for food. About seeing her twin sister the next morning. 24 hours later, she was dead. 6 people hunted for Colin based on Instagram posts that were lies. They wanted revenge for Mo's murder, a crime Colin didn't commit. A crime that remains unsolved. They believed social media over evidence. They chose violence over verification. They kidnapped Tammy, interrogated her for hours, wrapped plastic around her face, took a photo with a gun in her mouth and sent it to her family, gave her false hope that she'd survive, then shot her in a basement on her 22nd birthday. Tammy Pointer deserves to be remembered as someone who spent her life caring for others, not as a name in someone else's rumor. A twin, a caregiver, a daughter, a friend, someone with dreams that will never happen now. None of them ever found Colin. Every one of them found Tammy. After the courtroom empties, after the sentences are carried out, after the media moves on, some things remain. The kitten. From November 4th, the one Tammy fed on her last normal night, cried in her empty apartment for days after she disappeared. Neighbors heard it through the walls. Meowing. Confused. Waiting for someone who would never come home. Police found it when they entered the apartment to search for evidence. Unfed. Water bowl empty. Still waiting by the door. Someone from animal control took it. Someone else adopted it weeks later. It never understood why the person who showed it kindness on a cold November night never came back. That was the last detail. The one that doesn't fit in court documents or victim impact statements. A kitten that waited. Every November 5th, Aaliyah turns another year older. Alone. 23. 24. 25. The birthday they shared, the one they'd celebrated together every year of their lives, is now the anniversary of the day Tammy died. We are twins, Aaliyah said in court. Present tense. Because the bond doesn't break with death, but only one of them gets older. Mo's murder on November 2nd, 2021 remains unsolved. Cleveland police investigated, looked at associates, rivals, disputes. Colin was cleared, phone records, work schedule, alibi verified. No other arrests were made, no charges filed, no justice for the 19-year-old whose death set everything in motion. The question that launched a manhunt, that killed Tammy Pointer, that sent 6 people to prison for life, it has no answer. 6 people in prison. 1 unsolved murder. 1 woman dead for nothing. Hakeem Ali Shomo sits in a cell, serving life without parole for ordering the death of someone he'd never met. Anthony Bryant pulled the trigger in a basement, ending a life over Instagram posts that were lies. Brittany Smith gave false hope seconds before murder. She'll be 41 years older when she's first eligible for parole. Portria Williams bought a gun in grief for her son. That gun killed an innocent woman. Destiny Henderson and Nathaniel Polk Jr. were there. Participated. Stayed silent while it happened. All 6 convicted. All 6 sentenced. All 6 imprisoned for murdering someone they never knew. Based on rumors about a crime that remains unsolved. Tammy Pointer spent 22 years caring for people. She worked in a group home helping adults with developmental disabilities. Dreamed of opening her own daycare someday. Fed a stray kitten on a cold November night. Loved her twin sister with a bond that transcended words. She never met Mo. Never heard his name before the night she was kidnapped. Had no connection to his death. No involvement in whatever rivalry led someone to shoot him. She never met Hakeem. Anthony. Brittany. Portria. Destiny. Or Nathaniel. They came for her anyway, hunting for someone else. She deserves to be remembered for who she was. A caregiver who spent her life caring for others, not as collateral damage in someone else's revenge. Not as a name in someone else's rumor. They searched for Colin based on Instagram lies. None of them ever found Colin. Every one of them found Tammy. Tammy Pointer's story is a reminder of how quickly lives can be destroyed by lies, assumptions, and the refusal to verify the truth before acting. 6 people hunted for someone they never found. In the process, they destroyed an innocent life. A daycare worker with dreams of her own. A twin sister. A daughter. A caregiver who spent her life caring for others. Tammy never met Mo. She never met any of the 6 people who killed her. She died on her 22nd birthday because of Instagram posts that were fiction. The lesson here isn't complicated words matter. Rumors kill. Social media posts aren't evidence. And revenge without verification is just murder. Aaliyah continues to carry the weight of losing her twin. Not just a sister, but the other half of a bond most people will never understand. November 5th is no longer a celebration for her. It's the day her twin was taken, and she was left to age alone. If this story moved you, I'd be grateful if you take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Notorious Crimes. Leave a comment sharing your thoughts. These stories matter because you're here to witness them, to remember the victims, to learn from the tragedy. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes, the most powerful thing we can do is refuse to let these stories fade into silence. Thank you for listening. This story is based on a real case. Some scenes have been dramatized for clarity and impact, but the facts remain. Tammy Pointer was murdered on November 5, 2021, and 6 people were convicted for her death. My deepest respect goes to Tammy's family, especially her twin sister Aaliyah, who continues to honor Tammy's